Good morning, everyone. So we'll start with chapter 8, Geography. Chapter 8, Geography, Human Environment. In this, so in this we have already completed settlement, transport and communication. Only we are going to discuss, do you know facts, which is there in your book. So that only we need to understand. So in this, first is the place where a building or a settlement develops is called its site. So a place where a building or a settlement develops is called its site. That we have already discussed. In history also you have discussed the same point. Understood? In history also we have already read this, that where a building settlement develops, that is called its site. Understood? Next is the natural conditions for selection of an ideal sites are first is favorable climate, second is availability of water, next is suitable land, then you have fertile soil. So in history also we have already read all these points. Okay, so in this if you see, we have already discussed these things in history. Now, how a place is selected. Okay, so how an ideal place is selected for settlement. So that is based on these 4 points. You need favorable climate. What we saw, if you go to mountains, mountains are having very harsh climate, right? Very cold. On the upper side of mountain, what we saw the construction is very difficult, right? Building roads and all very difficult. Landslide may take place. Then it is very cold during winters. Because of the high altitude, the temperature decreases on the top of the mountain. So it is very difficult to live on the top of the mountain. So where do people prefer to live? The place where they will get the favorable climate, right? Not very hot, not very cold, where they can survive easily. So those places people prefer. So favorable climate is the main thing, right? If a place is very hot, like we take the example of Atacama Desert, that is the driest place on the world, very hot. People cannot go and survive there. When you take Antarctica, Antarctica is very cold, frozen. So people cannot go and live in that harsh climate, right? So favorable climate is the first factor on which the sites are selected. Ideal sites are ideal place are selected for the settlement. Okay. Next is availability of water. So for this we have proof in history also that people settled near to the rivers first, right? Because without water they cannot survive. So in that case they need water for any of the purpose, for their domestic work, for drinking, for agriculture, for everything they need water. They cannot survive without water. So availability of water should be there. So that places are selected for settlement. Right? In history also we have seen. Now suitable land. Okay, suitable land means plain land. Plains. When we see the plains are the most suitable land for the settlement because construction is easy. Living is easy on the plains. Right? If we compare it to plateau or mountain, the plains are the best. If you see ideal place for the settlement. Right? So suitable land, that means flat lands needed for the settlement. Then fertile soil. Suitable land and fertile soil are two different things. Suitable land means plain lands. Okay, and fertile soil means if you have plain land but that soil of that land is not fertile. In that scenario, you cannot you cannot grow crops, right? So in that case, how will people survive? So fertile soil is also needed, and most of the fertile soil, if you see, it is near to the river banks, right? On the river banks. Now, who is this? Who is this? So most of the fertile soil, if you see, is on the river banks. Okay, so these four factors are there on the basis of which the land is selected, the place is selected for settlement. Understood? Okay, so next fact which we are going to discuss is, I hope you all are taking your notes. That is very, very important. So next is, there are several national and state highways in India, right? Now there is one latest development in this. Now, after the state and national highway, we have expressways. Okay, so these expressways connect four of our metropolitan cities. Those four metropolitan cities are Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. So these expressways connects all these four metropolitan cities. Understood? And the name of expressway is the Golden Quadrilateral. Okay, the Golden Quadrilateral. That is the name of the expressway. Okay, which connects the four metropolitan cities: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. Okay, you need to remember the name, the Golden Quadrilateral. Okay. Next is, as we already discussed, with the advancement of technology, now we have built the road on the mountains also, right? One such okay, so we have built road on the mountains also, as well as the trains are also running on the high altitudes. So we have railway tracks also, which is built on the high altitudes, that means on mountains. So one such train runs from Zinning to Lhasa. One train which runs from Zinning to Lhasa, that is built on the altitude of 4,000 meters, which is very high, right? 4,000 meter is very high, and this 4,000 meter is above the sea level. Okay, above the sea level. And the highest point which this train touch, that is the highest point which it touch is 5,072 meters. So this is very high, and if you see the height of Mount Everest, we have 8,800 something. Okay, so if you compare half of the height of Mount Everest, so that much height this train is having, on that height this train is running. Understood? So you need to keep this in mind. Now next is, now the largest railway system, which is there, it connects St. Petersburg, which is in Western Russia, which is in Western Russia, Saint Petersburg to Vladivostok. This Vladivostok is on the Pacific coast. So we have largest railway system. This largest railway system. This is the Trans-Siberian Railway. So this Trans-Siberian Railway is the largest railway system, and Trans-Siberian Railway runs from Saint Petersburg to Vladivostok. Okay, Saint Petersburg to Vladivostok. Now, where is Saint Petersburg? Saint Petersburg is in Western Russia, and if you see, Vladivostok is in Pacific coast, on the Pacific coast. So, on the map, when you see, the whole area here is Russia, and this side you have Pacific Ocean. So, Western that is here. Take a world map and please see where is Russia. Very large country, largest country you can see on the upside of the Asia. So from here, Western Russia to last of the Russia, where the Pacific coast. This is the Pacific Ocean and you have here Pacific coast. So this is the largest railway, which is named Trans-Siberian Railway, and it runs from Saint Petersburg to Vladivostok, and in which country? Russia. Okay. With this, we have finished this chapter. If any one of you have any question, please ask. If anyone of you is having any question, please ask. Any question, anyone? Any question, anyone? Okay, so this chapter is complete and we'll start a new chapter of history. That is chapter 7. Chapter 7, which is mobile and settled communication. Settled community. This is from history. So this is the chapter which we are going to start. So what we read till now in history. So till now, if you see, we discussed how the kingdoms and empires flourished, how they rose and how they fall. This is what we discussed till now in history, right? Also we discussed arts, crafts and production activities which flourished in the town and villages, right? The art, craft and production activities which were flourished that time, that we discussed. Now also we discussed the trades, right? How the trades were done, how the market was there. These all things we discussed. Now, if we see over the centuries, there are very important political, social and economic development which took place. There are political, social and economic development which were very important over the 100 years had took place. Okay. Now if you see, when we compare these changes in our India, is it equal everywhere? Is it same everywhere? No, it is not same everywhere, right? So if we see, there are different kinds of societies which evolved differently. Okay, now in our society, if you see the mainstream which was there in the society, the mainstream society, they were basically divided into four categories, right? Four groups. So that was Brahmin, then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, then Shudras. Like this, the society was divided. We discussed till now. Now if you see this political, social and economic development which happened, was it same for Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas or Shudras? They developed all together in the same way? No, it was not like that, right? If we compare the economic status of Brahmin and Shudra, a very big difference you will find in them, right? So, political, social and economic development which happened in 100 years, that was not same for everyone, right? Different groups gone through that in a different way, okay? So, if we see, the mainstream societies were divided into four groups and on that division, differences were there, right? The political condition, social condition, and economic condition of Brahman and of a Shudra was not same. A very big difference was there in between them. Understood? Now if you see, like this, we discussed about all the mainstreams. But there were some groups who were out of this mainstream. They were not the part of this mainstream. They did not follow these traditions, these cultures and these rules and regulations. They had its own regulations. Okay. So like this, they were very different. They were not the part of mainstream. They were different. And we are going to discuss about them in this chapter. And who were they? Basically, they were tribal groups. Basically, they were tribal groups. So basically, what we are going to discuss in this chapter, we are going to discuss about the tribal society. Understood? Till now, we discussed about the mainstream society, how they were functioning. Now we will discuss about the tribal society which also existed that time and how they lived that time, that we will discuss. Understood? In this chapter. So, you need to read this chapter. You people will read this chapter and be ready for the discussion. Okay, thank you everyone for today.